Did you guys like being drafted to Raw in 2009?
Oh my
Heck
gosh.
yeah.
Was that, in your opinion, was that the show to go to? I mean,
Oh yes,
okay.
it is. Raw is definitely the show to go to, and
There's just, you know what it is there's nothing like live TV. It goes by so fast, and there's nothing like that adrenaline rush of whatever I do is going to be on TV. So if I mess up or if I mess my lines up, guess what? That's it. The world just saw it. And I loved that feeling. I loved just it being like that.
yeah. And it was, you know, it drew a bigger crowd, even though Smackdown does too. So it was cool. Like, you kind of did feel like you took another step up. But the great thing about Smackdown, especially at the time, is the roster was unbelievable and the storylines were, and you felt like you got a lot of time. So you were kind of like, oh, I'm leaving, like, where I'm getting a lot of time and going into where you don't know. But,
Yeah. Well, and SmackDown was so entertaining at that time, too.
because we had great talent on there. You had Jeff Hardy, you had CM Punk, I mean, you had Matt Hardy. Like, we had great Rey Mysterio, Edge, Kane. I mean, there was great, so it was just like, every segment had a storyline. There was something.
And Vicky was in her prime. I mean,
she
when
was.
Vicky first was that heel, like
With
nothing.
Edge.
Yeah, with Edge. I mean, that was a great storyline.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
How different was the atmosphere backstage from SmackDown to Raw?
SmackDown's definitely more relaxed, and I think it's just because it's a tape show. Where when you're somewhere that's live TV, it's just a lot more is going on and it's going fast. So that's just mainly the only difference.
What about the pressure for you guys now that you guys were Raw live?
Oh, there was a lot more pressure, and it's once again you have to prove yourself. So it's like that anxiety that's on you.
Well, and if you're in a match and you know they come up and they're like, "Hey, 2 minutes got cut," like you had to make your times on Raw. There was no excuses to go over. Where SmackDown, if you went over, you know they just edited it and cut it. But Raw, that wasn't the case. And last thing you want to do is take, you know, a minute from the main event. So it was a lot of pressure. I mean, I still can feel like how my stomach felt before going out of Gorilla. Like,
even if you were in the ring and all of a sudden they cut your time and you see your opponent walking down, you're like, well, did they know? They're like, yeah, they know. And you're like, you sure? They're like, yeah. And you're like, oh my gosh, okay. So, but I guess, you know, once you go through that and when you're done, like after the match, there's just this amazing feeling. And that's the thing that you get addicted to, is just that feeling. It's insane.
it is insane, Brie.
Talk about your debut on Raw. I think you worked at Battle Royal with Beth Phoenix.
Yes.
Might have thrown you out, or
Was that... I'm trying to think which one.
I think it was in May of 2009.
Yeah.
May 18th.
I do remember that one, and that was actually
yes,
I remember really cool because we were debuting on Raw, but we're debuting with all the divas, and like to be in the ring like with Mickie James and Beth Phoenix and like Melina and some of those girls, it was just like, oh my gosh, we're here, we made it, we're done. You know, it was just like, it was really cool. You felt like, okay, I'm part of the crew now. I'm like, I'm the roster, and so I remember that was a really cool night for us. Like I really enjoyed it.
We were on a high, that's for sure. I'm sure we killed a bottle of wine that night.
Bet we did.
Now, after you guys were on Raw, I think you were only there for maybe 2 months, and then you got drafted to ECW.
Yes.
Was that a mental blow to you guys, or did you look down upon it, or used to that?
We didn't look down upon it, but we definitely, at first were confused because we didn't know what was going on, because they were still having us go to Raw. So we were kind of like, okay, what's going on? And it wasn't like we got moved to ECW for a storyline. They kind of were like, hey, Donald Trump just became this, and we have to draft people, so you guys are the ones that have to get drafted to this. So it wasn't even, that's what I think what bummed us out is we weren't going to ECW for a storyline.
Even though we did start a good one with Katie Lee.
Right. Well, Brie and I were like, okay, we got to think of something now. But, so that was the only thing. But other than that, I mean, to get to say that we worked on ECW before it was gone is like an honor, you know? Because we could have never been on that show, and so we were fortunate enough to actually be on ECW.
Did you guys get any promises at all when you first debuted on TV? I mean, did they say, this is what we're going to do with you guys, or did you guys not know? I mean,
you know, it's funny because they definitely see an idea of where they want you to go, but it's just like everything changes every week. And it was kind of like they just let you know, like, just roll with the punches. Like, just go with the flow. Like, this is definitely what we see for you, and let's just see week by week, like, where it's going to go.
I think because Brie and I didn't go into it when we first debuted, like, we are like, oh, there's no way we'll be on TV every week and this and that. So we didn't expect that. And then it ended up happening that way. Brie and I were fortunate enough that when we did debut, I want to say the first 2 months, we were on TV every week.
Yeah,
so we were like on cloud 9, like, this is awesome.
Any other good memories from ECW? Because you really weren't there that long. You went back to Raw.
Yeah,
I think, honestly, I know we were back full-time at Raw, I want to say 2 months, but, like, we, I think, did some stuff 2 weeks later on Raw. Like,
well,
I remember
that's when, I think 2 weeks later is when we started our celebrity guest host
right
assistants.
when we did the Bob Barker is when we are officially done with ECW and permanently the new celebrity guest host.
That's right.
Which we came up with. John Laurinaitis helped us come up with that idea. And we knew when they were starting that, we saw, you know, for a while people wanted to give us crap on the internet and all that, saying like, oh, they're not even wrestlers, they're this. Well, guess what? You saw us on TV every week, and that was a time when girls were struggling to get the wrestling storylines over, and Brie and I saw an angle, and we went with it. And
well, and I think it was true. The hard thing is that it was getting to a point where it was like, what else do we do with the twins wrestling?
yeah.
And because we wanted to stay in storylines, but I think that's what they kept thinking, like, oh, have we done it all already with the twins? So we knew we had to kind of move ourselves and get a little out of the wrestling storyline, put ourselves in something else, so then we can come back fresh again into wrestling storylines. Because we didn't want them to wear us out or think like, okay, there's nothing more we can do with them, get rid of them.
Yeah.
So that's why when we definitely saw, okay, for a year straight, you're going to have celebrities come once a week. Why don't we be their assistants? Yeah, we ended up doing it over a year.
Almost a year and a half, I think, is what.
And we walked them out great.
Yes, we did. We had damn good pre-tape.
We actually did. And you know what? What a lot of people don't know is that we greeted every celebrity when they came, and we'd give them a whole tour of our backstage.
Yeah.
We'd take them out to the ring. We'd introduce them to a lot of the talent. So we did more than just what you saw on TV. We were like with them all day.
It was a shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it really
it was 100% a shoot. And it was funny because towards the ending of it, everyone knew Bellas will be there when I arrive, right? Like, it went through, like, all the celebrities. Like, everyone knew, like,
oh,
Bella
you're gonna
Twins
have
will
the
be
Bella
standing
Twins
there
meeting.
as you pull up in your SUV.
And there we'd be.
Greet you right when you come out, and it was funny. It was so much
Who
fun.
was the coolest guy to work with, celebrity-wise?
Oh, probably Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg were the
yeah.
coolest.
We literally improv'd our scenes, and I wanted to
Will
cry,
was like,
laugh.
you know, we're just gonna do this and that. So just go with it. You guys are good. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It was fun, and I have to say, Bob
amazing.
Barker, I think because he has such experience of being on live TV that he was amazing to work with. And I don't know if anyone remembers him in Jericho, but like Bob Barker was just spitting out lines. Like, that was not scripted, and I was like, he
was
rocks,
great.
and he was so sweet. He's just such a sweet man.
And we gotta say, we were Barker beauties. I mean, we sold that jacuzzi. And what people don't realize is we didn't have music. So when we did the Hawaiian scene, or the car scene, or even the jacuzzi scene, it is dead silent.
Not only is it dead silent, we probably had 20 workers just staring at us.
And
so
you had to go
splash
for
around jacuzzi, and I'm like, oh my god.
I think it was 2 minutes straight, just so they made sure they got enough footage. So could you imagine for 2 minutes straight, dead
Kicking
quiet, and just splashing and like showing off the jacuzzi? I was like, this is a lot harder.
And then, like, you know, the Hawaiian, they wanted Brie and I to be, like, exactly, like, on cue.
Oh, my gosh.
But there's no music, so she and I are just trying to do counts in her head, and we're like,
and all
we
you kind of
peek
our skirts going,
yeah. And there's also then the 20 workers just staring at us, and I was like, oh, God. But I think, who else would you say was cool to work with? God, there was a lot.
I mean, Snoop Dogg and Rob Zombie to the Osbournes. I mean, there was so many.
No one came with bad attitudes, which was good. So now some of them would bring
the hot tub
girlfriends,
guys
boyfriends, or spouses that had attitudes. But other than that,
like it was an asshole or anything.
No, I think they were too afraid to like be mean to us too, especially with all the guys backstage. Like, that's the last thing you want to do. But what was cool is to see a lot of the actors come and see how nervous they would be. Like,
oh my gosh,
they would be so nervous, and to the point like we had memorized a lot of their lines just in case, because a lot of them, they're not used to live TV, and they're not used to our amazing fans who have so much energy. Like, they just, no one ever knew if they were gonna get booed or cheered.
We like had to be like, okay, look, you're probably gonna get booed. Just don't let it get in your mind.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Like the guy from The Hangover.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Well, and too, it was like, I remember, who was it who thought he was gonna get cheered and got booed?
Hot Tub Time Machine.
What was it, maybe those guys?
Yeah, and you could tell they kind of were like,
okay, you guys hate us.
And then I loved, was it the race car guys. And Joey
Oh,
Logana
yeah.
is like
Joey Logana
Coffee
and
Kingston, and the crowd's
Kurt
like,
Busch.
boo. And he's like, what? But Kyle Busch, he ate it up. He
Oh, he
freaking
loved
loved
it.
it. He's a natural heel. But